All right. Well, welcome back to Apex Mind, everybody. Adam McDaniel here. Just like every episode. And like I promised you last time, we have our first interview guest. So I'd like to welcome onto the show Jason. And Jason, I'm going to maybe mess up your last name. Is it Kleitz?
Cleats.
Oh, Klietz. Okay. See, I knew I would probably get it wrong. So Jason Klietz, welcome onto the show. Jason runs Accountability Nation, and he's really become quite the big star on Twitter. And I think he has a really awesome story to share. And I wanted to have him on here to talk about that story with you. So, Jason, we kind of just randomly met on Twitter a few months ago. And I saw that your posts were getting shared by some really big accounts. So, Jason, before I get into it, why don't you just tell a little bit about what your story is to the audience?
So on April 13th of this year, I had posted my day one photo going back into the gym, and it went viral. And last I looked, there's like over 130,000 likes on the photo. There's over like 4,000 shares and almost 4,000 comments on the original photo. And I was shocked, to be honest with you, because I was using Twitter as an online journal more than anything else, because I really never had much traction on Twitter. And I posted this day one photo and it went viral.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think I got wind of it on day one, but I know it was less than 10. It was somewhere around like 7 or 8 where I first started seeing your posts and seeing some real big fitness accounts share. So you're saying that you just had it as a personal accountability journal, not necessarily intending to be like an online influencer. It just kind of got away from you.
That's exactly it. It just organically grew over the first week that I was posting. I went from just under or just over 1,000 followers to about 10,000 followers in the span of a week.
Wow. Yeah, that's the kind of growth that you see like the accounts that have a lot of bots will get, or like, people who are intentional influencers. What was that like to get that outpouring of, kind of outpouring of love and people following your journey?
It was really cool. It was a shock also. I mean, you wake up the next morning and you have just hundreds of comments and hundreds of likes and shares, and you're just going through trying to respond to as many people as you can because I like to interact. So it took me probably almost a week to really um, talk to a lot of people, say thank you, or just to interact in general with even that first post. And of course, subsequently, I kept posting from there.
Yeah, yeah, and I noticed you're really consistent. I follow, people that inspire me on social media. I try to stay away from like the drama and the fighting. And I saw your story and it was very inspiring to me. And I think like a lot of people, fitness is hard to maintain. And I've struggled. I remember in 2020 and 2021, like most Americans, it made my fitness go back. So I like to follow fitness accounts and I like to see folks that are doing good things. What day are you on today?
So I just finished workout 62 yesterday. Today is officially a rest day for me. Um, and this Saturday I'm doing Tough Mudder for the first time, so I'm taking it easy for the next few days, letting my body rest, heal up a few nagging injuries, and clear out a little bit of a sickness.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I mean, congrats on that. 62 days means you've built that habit. You've established the foundation that I'm sure will continue far past just the 62 days you built. Have you ever done a obstacle race like a Spartan or a Tough Mudder?
I haven't. This is going to be a first for me. It's something I've always wanted to do, uh, but of course, being very unfit and not very motivated to do the work to get
Mhm.
yourself into shape, I'm just like, oh, I guess I'll never be doing that. So I'm finally saying, no, I'm going to finally be doing that.
Yeah, well, signing up and taking that step to go and do it, I think is one of the biggest things. Good luck on that. I've never done a Tough Mudder, but I've done a Spartan, and those obstacle races are tough. So what inspired
They
you?
look like it.
Oh yeah, yeah. So what inspired you to use social media as an accountability tool as you're, attempting this fitness journey that you're doing now?
So a lot of it comes down to self accountability. And I figured the best way to be accountable to myself is to put my information out there and show what I'm doing, even if it was only ever going to be just a couple people that ever looked at it. It was my way of saying, hey, look, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm working towards. And I wanted to be able to track the progress from the beginning to the end. And what better way to do that than to put it onto a social site where I can track by the date, and I put random thoughts out there from time to time just so I can remember some things
Mhm.
along the way as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it is a good accountability tool because you have other people that are now seeing it. If you give up, it's not just to you, it's to everybody else.
That's the other thing that I'm looking at too, because I have people tell me all the time that I'm inspiring them and that I've helped them get back into the gym, or I've helped them make a workout that they might otherwise miss. They're like, well, I'm tired. I've had a long day. I see you're in the gym still, even after working a 12-hour day. So there's no reason why I can't get there.
Yeah, yeah. I actually have experienced that. I don't think I told you that, but there were some days where I just wanted to miss a workout. Maybe I didn't have the good sleep the night before, and I usually work out in the morning before I work, and I'd slept in that day and wasn't going to do it after work. And I saw your post, and I'm like, well, Jason did it. I got to do it too.
I appreciate that. It's good that you got that workout in. I mean,
Yeah.
it's difficult when you miss one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's easy for how good that habit is when you build it and you keep going. It's so easy to fall out of it too.
It is. And the moment you start falling out of it, that's when the diet starts to fall off as well. And that's when you really start to get into losing absolutely everything. Like when they shut the gyms down back in 2020, I was working out back then and I had gotten myself all the way down to 370 pounds from north of 500 at one point.
Mhm.
And once they shut it down, then I lost my motivation to work out. My diet slipped backwards, and it took me 2 years to really get the focus again.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the data on it, but there's some data released on 2020 trends with health with like just all Americans. And I think the average American gained 20 pounds in 2020, and the average like millennial American gained 40 pounds. And so a lot of people, you're at home more, you're being less active, you're probably because of depression, you're eating and drinking more. I know like I was having more cheat meals and enjoying alcohol because we really didn't have much to do. You couldn't go out and do things.
That's exactly it, and that's how it started. And it's just like, well, it's easy to just hang out around the house, and then where I would watch TV, I would bring food down there, and I would eat too much food, and I was drinking sodas and just all sorts of really crazy things. And it's like, that's enough of this. We got to stop this. I had put 50 something pounds back on from in those 2 years.
Well, it's good that you came back from that because, it's very easy to continue down that path and getting back out there, and especially what you're doing now. So let me ask you this, because I know I find with fitness, a lot of my benefits are not just the health, the losing weight. I get mental benefits and I get emotional benefits. So what have been the key things you've learned throughout this process of the last 62 days of doing this?
So for me, what I've really learned is the gym has become part of my routine. Not only that, it's been really good for my mental health. I look at going to the gym as my mental therapy. Going in and hitting the weights and having my music in my ears and just doing my thing. It's my time to do what I want for myself, and that really boosts the rest of the day, or in general, the way I feel throughout the next day following.
I like that, because I know for me, I get those mental benefits too. What you don't have to get too detailed, but like what in general are you doing for fitness and for trying to get on this path? Do you have a specific plan you're following, or a path that you're going down?
Yeah, actually, I'm using a program called Gain Trust right now.
Hmm.
Uh, Michael and Ryan are two really good guys. They've built an online training program with a website. Plus, they send us all the information through Discord. We have weekly meetings where we talk about things. We can send videos to show form how we're doing things, and they can check that over. So it's really like having a personal trainer with me,
Hmm.
especially the way the information's laid out in the PDF that they send every week. If I don't understand something, I can look it up real quick. Or if I really have a question, if there's something that I'm like, hey, I can't quite get to that yet,
Hmm.
is there something I can replace the workout for, and what muscle groups am I working in that workout, so I can replace it. So they've been really good about communicating, and I log all my workouts through Gain Trust on their Discord as well,
Hmm.
so that way they can track. Um, that's also another way I've been able to track my progress, is I post a daily workout picture in the Discord as well.
Nice. I haven't looked into Gain Trust. I'll have to check out what they're doing. But I've followed, pre-written workout plans, and I think that's good because you have, um, a map to follow. You're not just making it up on your own. Usually on this podcast, we're talking about like learning at work, but I think, learning anything outside of work, you have resources that they're giving you that PDF every week, and you have support afterwards. So you have the Discord, and it sounds like you can also submit videos and questions to them if something goes wrong.
And that's exactly it. And they're always available. It seems like I've never had to wait more than either a couple of hours or till the next day early in the morning to get a response. So that's been really nice. And also having a workout plan versus not, the first probably 20 or so workouts, 25, I was just going in and saying, well, I'm going to work this muscle group today. And
Mhm.
then I would go through the gym, fumble around, find all the workouts that made sense for that muscle group. And with Game Trust now, when I'm in there, my workouts have a purpose. I follow the 7 lifts that I'm going to do. I get my zone 1 cardio going, and I'm good to go. It actually speeds up the time that I'm in the gym.
Yeah, that's good. So you're being more efficient with that time that you have. And it sounds like it's resistance training and zone 1 cardio based.
Yes, it is. And then we work muscle groups based on the day. It's either an upper body or lower body workout. And then Saturdays is what they call an accessories day, where we work some of the other muscles that don't get worked throughout the week.
Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds similar to workouts I've done in the past. Now this compared to when you've been on this journey before and been on the workout plan before, um, are you finding differences from the other than just having the followers on Twitter and having everyone cheering you on, but just the way you're going about it? Have you found some differences with this experience versus previous?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. The way I approach things, uh, I I approach them a lot differently now. Like, I've built routines throughout the day of things that I want to make sure get done before I go to bed. And that way, when I wake up in the morning, I feel better, not having to worry about like getting the dishes done, or like making sure the laundry's put away, uh, making sure I have food ready to go for work, things like that, which have been helpful for my mental health. Not to mention, I spend more time listening to audiobooks and doing exercises, or just being active outside of the gym as well.
Mhm.
Where last time I would work out and then I would just hang out at home and do the same thing I always did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple things I want to pick apart from what you said there. But I'm going to start with that last thing. You talk about being active outside the gym. And I mean, that's big, because I think what a lot of people do is they'll go work out for their 30 minutes or their hour, and then they're pretty sedentary the rest of the day. You know, most people who work in an office environment, sitting in a chair all day, maybe after work, they go drive in a car, sitting down, they get home, sit down on the couch. Um, what tools or what are you doing to add that extra activity in?
I'm just trying to keep myself busy. Like I'll go for a walk in nature, and I like to do that sometimes, and I'll do it even to replace the cardio that I'm doing in the gym. I've also got a more active job now, where I pick up construction dumpsters versus just operating light rail for the transit system. So that way I'm more active through the day as well. And just in general, like I will I'll go find things to do outside of the home as opposed to just going downstairs and watching podcasts all night like I
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah, I hear that. It's so tempting, right? Because there's so much entertainment out there, whether it be podcasts, audiobooks, television, streaming, video games. I mean, there's so many things that could pull us to be inactive. So that's good that you're fighting that. I see your posts all the time with your step counts, and man, you get good steps each day.
Yeah, I like right now with the job I have being active, I'm getting a lot of my activity in during the day while I'm working. So it's like I actually have to remember to take some time to sit down and relax now
Mhm.
because I wasn't really doing that. I was up and moving around the house most of the day till I was about to go to bed. And it's like, well, I still need to do some relaxing, let the muscles relax. So I've consciously been taking an hour to hour and a half before I go to bed and just sitting down and either talking with my roommate or watching a podcast.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good to wind down before going to sleep. The other thing I wanted to pick out from what you had mentioned there is you talk about the routines and you're getting these little things done, just like even basic house chores, but it's easy to let that stuff slide. Is there something conscious that you're doing to be more consistent with those things?
That was yeah, I definitely I think about what I need to have done each day before I go to bed, and I make the effort to make sure it gets done. Because I don't like to wake up to dishes in the sink in the morning, and then it
Mhm.
it can affect your mental health a little bit, where you're like, oh man, I got to come home later today and wash these dishes, and then now there's going to be 2 days worth of dishes or 3 or 4, as opposed to when you wake up in the morning, the kitchen's cleaned, it's ready to go for you to make breakfast or do whatever else you're going to do, and not have to worry about uh, a sink full of dishes.
Yeah.
So there's things like that, or like with the bathroom, making sure the bathroom's in good order. So you're when you walk in, it's clean, and it feels better to get clean in an area where it is clean versus being a mess.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about having the little things not weighing on your brain, whether it be the things around the house or even like if your email inbox gets too backed up, it does weigh on you. It's extra stress that you have to deal with. So I think it's good that you found that way to just address all those things that could be piling up.
It's a way to stay active for a little bit longer throughout the day rather than sitting down for 3 or 4 hours and watching a few podcasts in a row. And then you start getting tempted to have a snack because you're sitting there doing nothing. And then you get a little bored and your head starts thinking, oh, I think I might be hungry. And it's like, well, no, I'm not. I may just be thirsty. So get a little
Mhm.
something to drink and try that first.
Yeah, no, I think water's a good tool too. A lot of times where I think I'm hungry, I can just have some water and solve that problem. I know I asked you about your biggest learnings. I want to flip that and say, in this last 2 months, I'm sure there's not been every day going perfect. I'm sure there's been some challenges. So, what are the biggest barriers or challenges that you've run across?
There are days when I get done with work and I am exhausted, and it's like it'd be really easy to just come home and not going to the gym. Like I've actually posted pictures recently where I've worked out in my work clothes. So that way it's like I went right to the gym, and
Hmm.
it's because I know better. I know if I came home and came into the house and grabbed gym clothes, or even um, if I forgot something, it's just like, man, I'm home now. And sometimes it's hard to leave once you're home.
Hmm.
So it's facing those challenges, or when I've had a slight injury and I have to figure out if I can work through it, or if I need to take a day or so to rest. Those unplanned rest days are a little bit challenging as well.
Yeah. So when you say they're challenging, does that mean that you're kind of upset that you're not getting to work out that day? You feel like you're failing at it?
Yes, that is absolutely the best way to look at it. It's difficult to be out of the gym for a day. I mean, it's not very often it happens. I know early going in my posting, I had gotten sick with a really bad sinus infection,
Hmm.
and part of the way I fought it off was I was going to LA Fitness, and I was using the hot tub and the sauna and trying to work it out of my system. And I would actually go into the pool and walk laps in the pool, so it was a little easier on my body. I was still staying active even though I wasn't lifting during that time.
Yeah, that's a good workaround. I know, like if I get sore, like this last weekend, I went running one day and then I climbed there's this thing out here in Colorado called the Manitou Incline. It's this very steep staircase. And after that, I woke up on Monday and my calves were just I couldn't do anything. They were just tight. And so do mobility, do go in the sauna. I think those are great workarounds to stay consistent, keep that habit going and not like make an excuse because you certainly don't want to fall into the habit of not going or getting out of the habit that you're in.
Right. And that's the other thing, is when you start making excuses and missing days for reasons that maybe not so good. It's like, what are you doing to yourself? It's like you're only really cheating yourself anyways.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. But we're all gonna fall down sometimes. We just got to pick ourselves back up again. I think that's from a movie that I stole it from. But it's just you got to get back on the bike, so to speak, when you miss on something.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, so let me ask you this. I know your Twitter page is called Accountability Nation, and that's kind of a branding you've taken on. So tell us what is Accountability Nation?
So Accountability Nation really is growing organically. Uh, it's a name I've had for over a year now.
Hmm.
I've never really thought what I was going to do with it. And I had put it up on Twitter as my actual Twitter handle some months back. And the day I posted the day one photo, uh, Accountability Nation was really born that day. And it's based on being self accountable, and what that all entails, as far as what you do throughout the day, the decisions you make, what you do to get your self into better mental health, physical health, financial health. And Accountability Nation right now is me laying my roadmap for how I went from being broke and dead to more successful in life and in better shape.
That's awesome. I know you've come a long way so far. I'm excited to kind of watch the journey continue. Do you have a specific like end goal in mind, or is it just I just want to be better than I was before?
Currently, my goal weight is 250 pounds, which I am last weight was in at 380 pounds. So I've got 130 to go. Um, Once I get to 250, I want to see what I'm looking like,
Hmm.
and to see if I want to maybe drop another 25 or so pounds. Just depends on how I feel I look at that particular weight.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. You don't want to go with a number in mind. A lot of health is based on feel, and your muscle mass will affect that too. If you don't mind me asking, where did you start when you were on this journey?
This time around, I started at 434. My absolute heaviest, I was 538 pounds, and that was back uh, 2016, 2015, in that range.
Okay.
2011 was when everything was at my worst with my health. So I slowly started coming back from that from 2011 onward, and finally got to a point where I'm like, I really need to do this thing.
Yeah. Well, from that heaviest weight, you've already made a ton of progress. And even just this round starting, so what, you're over 50 pounds down. That's amazing. And um, like I said, I'm excited to see where this goes. And I know you are inspiring to a lot of people. So when you see these messages, I know you probably hear stuff like what I told you earlier, where it's like, hey, I went to the gym because I saw you. Are you getting any other types of, accountability stories or inspiring stories you're getting from the people that you interact with?
I do from time to time, and I actually like to share those stories because they mean a lot to me. Somebody willing to take the time to tell me what's going on in their life because of what I'm doing, there's no greater honor than that. And it's a life goal of mine to inspire others, and I'm currently getting to do that in my 40s. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. So when I have people tell me that they've lost a couple 100 pounds, a few people, there was one guy that he said he was over 600 pounds at one point, and he's
Mhm.
now down into the 200s. And I'm like, that's incredible. And to hear those kind of stories, or to hear people that have beaten their drug addictions, and they have been sober for sometimes months, even years now, to hear those stories, it's great, and it's inspiring to me as well, because I'm doing my thing, and to be able to share those stories with others for people to hear is really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need more of this. We need more of us lifting each other up, and less of people spatting about politics and world events and so on. I know you and I have talked about this online before. We all have political views, but there's too many people just fighting about that stuff all the time. And I think we need more people like you and the people that you're inspiring that do make people do better and lift each other up. I think that's great.
Well, that's exactly it. And Twitter can be a really good place if you use it in a good context. Like before, yeah, I fell into the political trap, and I wasn't getting any traction on Twitter because anybody posting about politics on Twitter, that's a dime a dozen. And the same old back and forth is just a waste of time. And it's like, honestly, I don't care what your political affiliation is. If we can have a good conversation, I'm cool with you. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I think we've all, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us have fallen into that trap of fighting with people online and knowing that it never goes anywhere and you're not changing anyone's mind. You're just making yourself more miserable. Um, I'm actually fairly new to Twitter. I never used it for years because I thought it was just this toxic, horrible place with people fighting. And when I joined late last year, I learned that muting words, muting accounts, blocking people, and I can like curate my feed to be this positive place. And anytime I start seeing like that negativity and like people just fighting with each other, I block that out of my feed. It doesn't exist to me. And I'm with you. It is not negative. It's not toxic. It's actually uplifting because I follow the right people.
Same here. And being able to do that, and the people I follow are very inspiring. So I get suggestions for other people that are posting very inspiring things. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So when I scroll my news feed, um, I don't get the negative, and I don't get the really horrible stuff going on in the world. I get about how my buddy Bobby Cables is doing, and a lot of my friends post really cool videos of them doing their lifts. So it's cool to see those because some of these people are in very good shape and they lift some really heavy weight. So it's like, oh, that's great to see. And it's so much better than seeing the negative and the fighting and all the extra distractions that I personally don't need right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think most of us don't need it, but people love gossip, people love drama, and they fall into that. Well, so we have just a few more minutes. I want to ask you a couple things, just I think the audience would benefit from. So first off, someone who's maybe trying to start addressing challenging things. Maybe they're trying to start a fitness journey like you, or maybe they're trying to address other things, whether they be, financial things, or they're having challenges at work. What one piece of advice would you say for someone who's trying to get on an accountability journey like what you just started?
So the one thing you're going to really want to do is you're going to want to be honest. And I mean, very honest with yourself. You want to discover your why and figure out why you want to do this for yourself. You can't do this for anybody else. It's not gonna have the same results. So make sure that you understand why you're doing this and motivate yourself towards an end goal, but along the way have milestones. Like for me, every 20 workouts is a milestone workout for me. And I have milestones set for different weights. Like after I hit the 368, I'll go down to 350 will be the next one, and then 25 and then 0. So put small goals in along the way, so that way you start collecting some W's along the way. So it helps build your confidence in what you want to do. I've also done similar things in my financial health. I've diversified a little bit, bought into some cryptocurrencies. And of course, right now, with all the markets being in very bad shape, I'm not making any money on it. I've lost some money, and I'm okay with that because I've never put more in than I was able to lose if the coin was to go to 0. So I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know
But
what? I
also,
think all of our investments are hurting right now, no matter where they're at.
yeah,
It's hard to have a good investment at this moment.
yeah, it really is. And right now, actually, for me, is the time to make money because I've never been in a crypto winter. So being able to pick up cryptos at rock bottom prices right now, I know that they're going to go back up. Everybody knows that it's going to happen. It's just going to take time. And right now, having a little extra money, I'm able to drop it in there. In 5 years, I could be smiling about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think investing versus not investing is going to be a good thing. And if that's something you've turned around, I think that's great. I love the advice of the incremental wins. I know I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but the book Atomic Habits by James Clear is a great book on like creating good habits, getting rid of bad habits. And he talks about having those incremental wins because we look at this goal as this big thing, like we got to achieve this whole thing. And then it could seem like more than you can bite off. Do you give yourself rewards when you get to those incremental goals?
When I hit workout 60, I actually worked out harder that day because it was a special workout for me.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like rewarding myself, kind of do something like maybe go to a movie or something of that nature. I used to reward myself with food, and I
Mm-hmm.
stopped doing that because I'm like, wait a minute, that's not really a reward system. That just leads to other problems. So been trying to basically find a new reward system for myself.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You certainly don't want to, like, I think the whole cheat meal or cheat day thing can cause a lot of problems for people. But I know like I have certain goals that I try to do, and my wife and I have like our vacation jar. And so if I hit my goals, I get to put a little bit of money in the vacation jar. So I know I'm going to have a better vacation if I hit these goals more consistently, because I'll have more money for it. But that movie, I think that's great because that's not the problem you're trying to address. Like, hey, I hit my goal, I'm going to go have some pizza and burgers today or whatever. You're doing something that's still rewarding, but it's not setting you back in what your goals are.
And that's exactly it. It's rewiring my thinking to do something better for myself as opposed to something that's more detrimental.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, the last thing I want to give you a chance, where can people reach you or follow you on socials or anything if they're interested in connecting more?
So if you can find me on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter at Accountability Nation. Those are my 3 main socials. I do have a YouTube channel I haven't really done much with. I'm still learning the technology end and trying to put together a better vlog. I haven't done a podcast as of yet. I'm just not there. So those are really the places you can find me, in any place that you type in Accountability Nation.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure I'll put links in the show notes to the three socials that you're using. And trust me, my audience knows I've had some YouTube struggles too, just getting set up there. So, it's all a learning curve, and we're trying to get better. And this technology, it takes some time. So, Jason, it's been a pleasure having you on. I'm glad you are our first guest interview on this show. So you get the honor of that. I
That's
hope
awesome.
I hope to have you on again one day, and we'll see where your journey is continuing. But thank you so much for coming on, and everyone, thanks for listening. You guys have a great day.